Hey folks, Joe Bongiovanni here from the Kettle Pond Institute. Sunday, March 20th, 2011, my dad's birthday. Say happy birthday to my dad. Making a video on his birthday just in recognition of his work that he did and his guidance that he given me in understanding the money system. The main purpose of this video is tied back into what's going on at the website. That is the discussion that I've been having with Kaj with regard to whether or not, well, let's say in general, the issuance of debt-free money by the government is something that's going to be so wacko inflationary as to be hyperinflationary, Zimbabwean and Weimarian and all that other stuff all rolled into one. And, generally speaking, this discussion, goes back and forth and hems and haws, but Kaj gets you on all that government debt that's out there. You got all that government debt that's out there, and you can't deal with that government debt with your new money without causing inflation. So I want to have a little talk today about that. I want to have a little talk today about how, the Kucinich bill's transformational nature of the money system actually does enable and ensure that we can, in fact, get through that process of eliminating, actually, government debt and have it be non-inflationary. Now, one could say that given that it has been macroeconomically modeled by Dr. Karu Yamaguchi of Doshisha University in Japan, in which he took the present debt-based money system and showed how it causes inflation and the debasement of the currency, on a basis of the same logic that Dr. Bernard Senf of the Berlin School of Economics shows that we can only live in permanent debt under this type of a system. It will never transform our national economies. That on the basis of all of that work, that it should be sufficient to say, well, the models prove that it can be done without causing inflation. But interestingly enough, Kaj and the Austrians in general do not believe in macroeconomic modeling because they say it's too imperfect and we are too complicated a people and there is no such thing as a national economy, and you have billions and billions of transactions that you try to model, etc., etc. But to me, it is proven. It's proven in the modeling. But when you get down to the fact that, well, we can't deal with it through modeling, we have to deal with it through a somewhat more of just a rational debate. And in the interest of having that debate, I'm putting out this video. So I want to talk a little bit, first of all, about government debt, what it is, what does it represent. In the old days, when people used to say, well, it just represents a debt to ourselves, but then people say, yeah, but now, especially over the last 10 years, it represents debts to other people. Well, in essence, it still represents a debt to ourselves. Okay, because why? It has to be paid in our currency. If it has to be paid in our currency, we have to pay it, and then we have to pay it back to ourselves in our own currency. So, having said that, government debt is the basic tool by which the private fractional reserve bankers do their business. Okay, it is actually government debt that forms the total and complete underpinning of today's fractional reserve banking system. And the existence of government debt and the ability for the government to tax the taxpayers in order to pay the interest on that debt is a mechanism by which the private bankers have been screwing the taxpayers of this country for about the last 100 years. I'm sorry for the emphasis there, but if people really understood that both the compounding interest aspect of it and the fact that the bankers use the government debt as the foundation for their own money system, and then use the ability to tax the taxpayers in order to get at it. Well, it's like Henry Ford said, there'd be a revolution tomorrow. Excuse me. People should read Modern Money Mechanics publication at the Fed. If you do that, you understand that it is only solely through the purchase and sale of government securities that the private bankers continue to manage, if you will, the money system in this country. Okay? It's not the government that does it. It's not the Treasury that does it. It's the Federal Reserve bankers. And if you can tell me what aspect of the government they're working under, I'd have to go in and have a talk with them. So that's the reality of it. The government debt exists in order to enable the private fractional reserve bankers to run the present debt-based money system and to keep us in their grip and under their control. So now we're going to have the monetary transformation of the Dennis Kucinich bill. What's that going to do? It's going to end both the fractional reserve banking system. It's going to end the issuance of the government debt. Why not? We don't need it. And it's going to transform all the bank credits out there that have been created by the banks into real money under the control of the government. Now, one might just wonder if there's a certain acceptance of the fact that we can transform bank credit money, bank credit, I should say, bank credits, in the checking and savings accounts of the Americans and the other people that operate under the Federal Reserve and commercial banking systems into real money, why we couldn't just transform the debt into real money. I'm just going to throw that out there. Why? Why not? So the answer is only because those certificates are not real money. They serve as money, they trade as money, but they're not real money. So we have a situation where, under the Kucinich bill, we've transformed the savings and checking accounts of the American people into real money. We've transformed the loans that have been made in the banking system, in that same banking system, into real money, and we have therefore provided to the system real money. We now have a fully functional, permanent, debt-free money system in operation. It represents the trillions of dollars in what's now credit market debt of those institutions, and it's flowing back and forth in the world. The fact that we're going to take our ability to create the money and to operate the money system and use that power to repay the Chinese who came by the savings in their own Federal Reserve accounts with the Fed, and use the money that we're going to create in order to give them that money back, as opposed to any other money, or as opposed to issuing another government security. The irony that the capital marketeers, would accept, in theory, us issuing more debt so that we could tax it out of the people later, the irony of that, and then to say that the capital marketeers aren't going to accept the fact that we're going to take and use the money that's been paid back from loans, for instance, and pay it over to the Chinese, their billions of dollars, is kind of ludicrous on its face, because we're going to be in control of the money system and we're not going to be issuing government debt. And so that kind of raises, a couple of questions, and one of which has to be, what are the capital markets going to do about it? And let's face it, those capital markets that exist today under the shadow banking system are not going to exist at all in the future. Okay? All money is going to be transformed into real money. You know? You can only leverage real money with other real money. There's no such thing as, creating money substitutes, creating non-money money. All of that's going to be gone. So we have the ability to do it. The inflation has already been created when the original money was created, and it's already into the economy. And what are the bankers going? What are not the bankers, but the capital marketeers going to do about it anyway? That's my question. No need for it to cause inflation, none at all. I'm hoping to get a video dialogue going here on this, and to be stood corrected. Thanks very much.